I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, man?
I'm sick, but I'm getting better. My portion of the show brought to you by our sponsor, Tussin. Ask for it by name. So if I say anything crazy, it's the Tussin talking.
It, it, there's a lot of talking this week, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we do, Myron, what do we got to talk about first?
Patreon.
Patreon.com/tapped-out-pod, man. Make sure you're becoming a member over there. It's picking up a little bit. We've talked about all the things that we have now made on the free tier. And then now we're adding some more content, obviously, at the dollar level. $5 level, you get the shows early. $10 more. I actually messaged somebody today and said, hey, here's an idea I want to run. What do you think? And they're like, man, that's a show that I would probably talk about 2 hours. And I'm like, so are you in? Is that what you're saying?
You'll come for the whole show. Yes, I like that idea. Whatever it is. You're just making it rain with content lately. That's so cool, man.
We're trying, man. We're trying. And if you haven't caught it this week, check out the Tapped In show. Jack Jameson, Rosario Grillo back in the house again. We had so much fun last week. We figured we'd run it back with the three of us. What did he? Isn't that how he does it? So we ran it back. I had a good time and lots of fun talking about some non-wrestling stuff. But hey, we're not going to do that here.
No,
we're going to jump right into the wrestling stuff.
Professional wrestling.
Now, next week, there might be some Super Bowl talk. But this week, we're not going to do that. We're going to talk just about wrestling stuff and start off where we always start off and talk a little bit about what caught our eye on TV. Let's start with the obvious. We'll get into Raw a little bit. There's nothing in the notes about Raw, the irony, right? But there's it's all in our brain because we watched it last night. Saturday night main event, Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu. Honestly, man, here's the I'm going to go all the way to the bottom note for this show. Was it the best Saturday night main event since they brought it back?
No, because you can't get better than Cena. You can't get better than Cena's last match. I don't care. Okay, nothing to me will equal Cena's last match. It was amazing, but it wasn't better than Cena's last match.
I disagree. I thought this was the best run they've run.
I really enjoyed it, Nick. I really enjoyed it. Top to bottom, it was a great show. But that was John Cena's last match. The emotion. My wife asked to watch John Cena's last match. How?
No, listen, I get it. Everybody's in on Cena and stuff, but I still think since they brought it back. But that's because top to bottom, I think the card was probably the best thing they've done since they've come back. Everything was just super centric Cena. Which,
my favorite part is though? My favorite part is the pull down microphones. When the microphones come down to the ceiling and they talk, that makes it so realistic, so old school. It gives me that great feel of watching it as a child. But man, they stacked this card. How about Memphis in Montreal? Had a concession stand dish brawl.
With no ending, essentially. So I did enjoy the brawl. I will say that. I'm not saying I did not enjoy the brawl, but I kind of wish there was a winner to some degree. And at the end, it only left me with one question. Like, we're clearly leading to a triple threat at this point, right?
It's going to depend on what happens at Mania. Or sorry, at the Rumble. If there's a triple threat coming. Okay. Maybe there'll be a triple threat on Friday over in Saudi if that happens. But the Rumble is where that's gonna put a pin in everything, in my opinion.
We're gonna cover our picks here, what we think is gonna happen at the Royal Rumble here in one of the later segments. So stick around and make sure you catch those. I just believe it's probably where we're headed. Rio defeated the Judgment Day again.
But it was so good, Nick. It was so good. It was the old school psychology of cutting the ring in half and doing things like the tag team wrestling we grew up on with flipping and flying women and all that high speed stuff. I enjoyed this match a lot. Really enjoyed this match.
Rhea craped Liv Morgan, and then she craped Roxanne Perez the next night to make sure she wasn't jealous. But look, I didn't say the match wasn't good. I'm just saying they beat them again. So it's kind of like, okay, let's move on, right? Let's move on now and go to the next
Too much
thing.
heat, man. Why move on? You had Vicaire and you had Rodriguez in there. Who did you see where Rodriguez? Somebody had said she had talked to Kevin Nash, and Kevin Nash told her how to work bigger, and she's been doing it since she's been doing it. She's really good right now. She's really selling it. I think it's the best we've ever seen her do. The triple threat tag team, or what, a trios match on Monday was great. They're hitting on all cylinders right now, going into my favorite pay-per-view of the year.
Well, here's the funny thing is, I actually have it in our notes where I wanted to point out, I thought the match was a little sloppy on Saturday Night Main Event, but in a good way. There were moments where it didn't look super like it was a struggle. It was a little bit of a, hey, it wasn't as smooth as, people might want it to be or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. But
I don't like 5-star matches. I don't like 5-star matches. I like a match that makes me feel like these people are fighting. Sell me on something besides ballet performance.
I think you don't like, because your 5-star is just different than what and I'm not trying to knock Meltzer. I'm saying a Meltzer 5-star and a Myron 5-star are two different things.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what we're getting at. Here's the other thing, by the way. The other match on the card, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. AJ's last Saturday Night Main Event before
5
Rumble.
Stars, regardless of how you describe this one, the storytelling was great. Everything on psychology was great. Why isn't Nakamura on the top of the card all the time now? What happened to him? Did he piss on Bruce Pritchard or something? I just don't get it, because, I mean, he looked like he did 10 years ago. And AJ was like, I'm tapping this asshole out just like I did Gunther. I could hear him say that on the mic. It was so cool, man. That match was so cool. I know I seem like I'm a little excited, but like I said, it's my favorite pay-per-view season, and I'm getting these phenomenal matches on cards. What do you got? And then we had Punk. We had Punk on Monday night.
We'll get there. We will get there. I do want to talk about that a little bit. Shinsuke and AJ, a lot of callbacks to their New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom match. That was a lot of that stuff. If you caught it in there, it was buried in there. Lots of people putting the clips out, kind of showing the both. The thing where they sat there, did the little fist bump, that's a callback to their Wrestle Kingdom match at the end of it, as AJ was departing New Japan. Do we want to discuss the Shinsuke post here, or do we want to save that until let's get through all the shows? Let's get through all the show stuff, because I do want to get there eventually. I really like the match. Let me say this: I'm walking a fine line here, and I'll say it this way. Since there was a power shift at the top, you've noticed Shinsuke has not been at the top. If that makes any sense, what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
There are Vince guys and there's Hunter guys. I always thought Nakamura was a Hunter guy, and the more I realized, I think that's probably not the case. He probably was a Vince guy. Because since that change happened, he has just been shoved to the wayside. We'll leave it at that. Sami Zayn, Randy Orton, Trick Williams, Damian Priest in a fatal 4-way to be obviously to face whoever, Drew McIntyre at Royal Rumble. Sami Zayn wins. We talked about it last week. That was my pick. I thought, hey, why the hell not? It's in Montreal. Boom, whatever. Sami can go over there. So now it'll be Sami versus Drew. I'm just getting where here's the crazy thing is, I can like a match a lot and still be like, yeah, but I'm still not a huge fan of fatal 4-ways.
Yeah, no. Yeah, when something's executed well, even if you don't like that type of match, you admire the fact they did it well.
It's like, because in hindsight, I look back and go, was Damian Priest only put in this match to take the pinfall? Because if you wanted Sami, you don't want to pin Randy, and Trick's the new shiny toy on the main roster, so we don't want to beat him either. Throw Priest in there, he'll take the loss, and we'll figure it out later. It's kind of what it felt like, in my opinion. I'm not saying, again, I did enjoy the match, but it was what it was. Let's just jump into the Raw stuff now. Look, I get there was a lot of stuff that happened on Raw. My opinion, Punk versus Styles literally was the show.
But yeah, where they first met, their first match? Ring of Honor anniversary show number 2. Okay. Nick, this has gotten me it's just like, make me so invested in AJ at the Rumble. Make me feel more about it. Make me think more about it. Give me that Gunther, that nasty Gunther villain interview he had with Michael Cole, where he's like, "You're just chasing the moment, Michael Cole. Are you going to hang around just waiting, chasing that last moment, Michael Cole?" You get this super villain. He's building as a villain. Punk comes out there, talks to AJ, gives him a title match, a phenomenal title match, for lack of a better way to put it. Balor ended it, which is, I know they're doing something with Balor. They're going to do it, which is I'm glad they're doing. But
come back to Balor when we get done with this. I want to throw something in there.
I like the fact that can you make this AJ match any more high stakes by giving him the final matches against Nakamura, then his final match against Punk on Raw. So then you get his final match at all might be versus Gunther in Saudi Arabia. They've done a better job building this than anything done in a long time. That's just my take on
it. Punk does a social media post and actually goes on to, spill his emotions out there about that might be his final Raw match, and that's kind of tough. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to grasp that around or whatever. There is potential for another SmackDown match. Look, it's been thrown around on social media. I've seen it. I'm not shying away from it. Hey, Carmelo Hayes is doing all this open challenge. Why not let it be AJ Styles for the U.S. title one last time? He got a world title match. Give him this one here, against Carmelo Hayes on SmackDown, and then he rolls in on Rumble against Gunther. I don't know about that. So, by the way,
better.
Jump back real quick. Balor's excluded out of the Rumble. Did you catch that last night on Raw?
I saw that.
Do you know what that means?
What is that?
Clearly, they've got big plans for him. They don't want him in there just being another guy that gets chunked over the top rope because he's clearly not meant to win.
Well, getting him out of the Judgment Day might actually work to help him. That giant four-headed guy he was working with, I'm sure that worked for a while. But when the Judgment Day was Carlito and Liv Morgan, Carlito and Rhea Ripley, and Damian Priest, it felt bigger. It started tapering off. It's fizzled out now. It's basically just the women. That should be a women's faction, the Judgment Day. There's nobody really left.
Dominic and when he comes back and all that kind of stuff was involved. I think here's my thing. Break it away before he comes back, because then when he comes back, he's like, hey, what happened?
Yeah, well, Dominic doesn't need it. He's out. It's time to give Dominic wings and take him out of that
100%. Faction. Well, we're going to come – look, I know this sounds weird because of the way this whole system's worked out. We're going to come back to the Rumble picks here after we go through all of this, and there's a couple things I still want to touch on with AJ, et cetera, and all that, but I want to save that for that segment. Unreal Season 2, it's out. I binge watched it while we were iced in over the weekend. I just wanted to go ahead and get it out of the way. Folks, it is what it is at this point. I know this sounds hilarious. It's a scripted reality show. They're going to show you what they want you to see, and they're not going to show you what they don't want you to see. It is very much at this point being a tool used to be like another
content.
Raw, SmackDown, NXT, PLE. It's for those junkies that are like, oh, I want to see some of the behind the scenes stuff. I want more of that. Whatever. That's what this show's built for.
But I have an evil plan, Nick.
What's that?
I'm going to trick my wife into watching it. I'm going to stay back on season 2. And I'm going to say, honey, let's try watching this. After I've watched the 900th episode of Traitors, which is god awful. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to say, let's watch this. This looks good. We're on Netflix. Let's just watch this. And I'm going to catch her with a hook. I'm going to hook her and get her to watch this. Okay? And then I'm going to make her like wrestling. Because she loves reality TV more than anything on earth. And I love wrestling more than anything on earth. I mean, I'm not counting about family and things like that. If I could get this intersection where we spent time together, well, hold on. That might actually ruin all my fun time if she wants to watch wrestling. Careful. But I want to watch it. I'm going to try to get her to watch this show. That's my new thing. I'm going to try to lure her into it.
Like, here's the thing. My takeaway from it was there were a few things that I really kind of thought, and again, mind you, the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, hey, they're working you. Just realize that. the emotion that they're getting, that's probably the one they wanted, and you gave them what they wanted, so you're in. All that being said, I kind of made a comment to somebody. I was like, hey, I don't know if this is actually accurate. It's maybe the way they're portrayed on the show. Get you a partner that talks about, the way Seth and Becky Lynch talk about each other.
Oh.
Those two are really, they're really into each other. I mean, look, are they going to last forever? Who knows? It's the modern world. But I'm like, you know what? That right there, that's what you want. So it kind of, endears you a little bit to them.
That might help. That might help get her involved. And it might bring more women into it. It might bring reality TV fans into wrestling.
Listen, the Io Sky story part, like I'm not going to spoil anything on here. I was real like, hey, it makes me invested. Look, I get it. She was one of the best wrestlers around. That's what everybody tells me, whatever. But I was never really invested in Io Sky. But watching it, I will tell you this. There was a moment in the show that I had to ask, I paused. Rachel, can you watch this? And go. She goes, what? I go, is this inappropriate for a married man and another woman? I'm just curious. I have to know. She goes, okay, go ahead. I hit play. And then so we had a 10-minute conversation about whether what we just watched. And if you've seen the show, you'll know. If you don't, when you watch it, you'll know. I'm not going to spoil anything. I didn't think it was. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think it was. And by the way, by the end result, something happened on Raw, and I paused it and said, and pointed, and she goes, okay, yeah, that's just what she does. And I was like, okay. Somebody repeats the same thing like on Raw, and she's like, okay, no, that's just the way she is. That it's not inappropriate. Go ahead. Anyway, all that to be said, the R-Truth story. I mean, there's just so many. Rachel's a big Jelly Roll fan, and there's a pretty big chunk of this angle about Jelly Roll and his, it's really cool. But again, accepting the fact the entire time, I'm going, they're telling you what they want you to know. They're wanting you to, they're working you, and it's okay to just go. I didn't sit there and not ever at any point go, oh, there's a lot of stuff in I know people are like, hey, there's cameras in the creative rooms, Myron, and there's another season of where did you see on the dry erase board, this is the card that they thought they were going to have, and they did, it didn't go that way or whatever. And I'm like, they knew the cameras were in there. They were okay with you seeing that board because guess what? It was edited and they let it stay in there.
They don't do anything by accident. This is what makes this kind of stuff interesting. And I like being worked, okay? I like the feeling I'm worked because it makes me feel like a child again. It makes me feel like a kid watching wrestling for the first time. So if some wrestler wants to tell me some bullshit or things like that, or if this reality TV show is entertaining like that, I look forward to watching it.
Yeah, but there's stuff too. There is a flip side of this. There was a couple of things that I know the internet went bonkers over because when you watch something on your phone or you watch something because I watch it on my Apple TV. So I watch it obviously through my profile. It's in the Netflix, it's in the Netflix account on my Apple TV. Shocking things come up on my phone, which has got my Apple profile on it or whatever. So things start coming, like people talking about Road Dogg, has no creative. Why is he even on the creative team? There's a scene in there where he was like, so they're in the era between Mania and SummerSlam, essentially.
Okay.
That's what this season's about. And Zelina Vega beat Chelsea Green for the U.S. title at that point. And, and you can just tell Road Dogg's a Chelsea Green fan. He's like, man, let's just, I think we just put the belt back on Chelsea. We can do it, whatever. And they're like, and Triple H being head of creative like he is kind of like, okay, well, then who does she face? The same people she just faced for 2 or 3 months? What do we do? What do we do with her? And, and Road Dogg's just like, I don't know, but you're right, but I don't like it. It's like, I want, he's basically just passionate, like, hey, I think she should be champion. And he just hasn't had the time to sit down and go, oh, we could have her face this part. He didn't have an answer right then. And because he didn't, and by the way, it's, it was funny. Somebody else was pointing out those meetings last hours. You saw a 30-second clip and basically we're like, oh, Road Dogg's not creative. I don't even know why he's in that room. I'm like,
Road Dogg's an Armstrong, for Christ's sake. Okay. He knows about professional wrestling.
Yeah. So
now he's a character on TV. So wild.
It's weird. And then, Bruce has got some stuff. Michael Hayes. Whew. If you're a Michael Hayes fan, heavily prominently featured on this season, you should absolutely check it out. He has one. I didn't think it was controversial, but there was one comment he makes that the internet went crazy over the past week. He says they're talking about Chelsea Green specifically, and he says, not word for word, but he basically said, you can't move her up into a group with Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton because she's not them. She's the talent that gets people ready to move up to that level. And everybody's like, he's shitting all over Chelsea Green. He's like, nope. He doesn't say this, is it? And it was funny. I was listening to a podcast and somebody used this analogy, and I'm like, it's exactly what I said when I saw it. She's perceived as maybe a women's version of Dolph Ziggler. She's not the main event. They don't see her right now, by the way. They don't see her as the main event, but she's the one that makes everyone get better and look better to maybe go to the main event.
She draws interest. Chelsea Green draws interest. Her character is her performance is great, but her character is better. It draws interest. If you're working a program with Chelsea, I hate to sound like a wrestling expert because I'm not. But from what I've seen and all the people I've talked to, if you're working a program with Chelsea Green, you start learning how to work the bigger programs. You start learning how people get over. There's nothing wrong with not being Charlotte Flair. Not everyone is Charlotte Flair. Everyone's on a team. I don't have this intimate wrestling knowledge that these people on the internet think they have, how they understand how everything's working. But maybe you should listen more than you talk. That's what I'd look at it
for. But check it out. I thought it was worth a view. I didn't say it was like, Unreal Season 2, 5 stars. I didn't say that. I just said, hey, check it out. I think it's a fun watch. And
you enjoyed it.
Guess what? I did. I binged it in a day when we couldn't go anywhere. We were stuck at home. I just turned it on and let Netflix roll it. Just, kept rolling every episode till I was done. I do want to talk about one more thing when we talk TV, because I know last week there was the panic had set in. TNA Impact, the first episode, 173,000. Everybody thought they were going to do 300, 400. They were all over the place. I was like, oh my God, and then it comes back. Hey, I overshot as well. I'm not going to even, whatever. But at the same time, so 173 was the number. Statistically, history has shown us the next episode usually drops 40%. And that's going to be closer to what your real audience was. Not so fast.
Yes.
The numbers come out for the second week, and it's 171,000. Literally dropped 2,000 people.
You can't, that's almost a statistical anomaly. And that's not a bad deal. And that's more than AMC, what do they normally get on a show?
No, it's about 20% above what their average show gets. So they're in a good look. Was AMC happy? They claimed they were. We don't know for sure, but they said they were. What else were they supposed to say? Nope, we were disappointed.
Better than last week's show. Okay? I don't know if they were shooting it better or lighting it better. It just looked better. It felt better. They didn't send cameras right onto where people weren't sitting. They did most of their stuff better. Did I think it was the best wrestling show? No. God, no. But is it an enjoyable show to watch? Put it on your DVR. Zip through what you don't want to watch. Just what you want to watch. Just enjoy it. Moose got turned on. Okay, they turned on Moose.
Yeah.
There's drama there. It's TNA still, folks. But now they're getting more eyes.
Exactly. They were on Access. They were on like 90,000. Was what they were 90 to 100,000. Hey, if they can settle in at 171, and I'm not saying they are, but if they can settle in at 171 and build on it from here, it could be worse, right? Like there are episodes of Collision that get this, and I'm not crapping on Collision about it. I'm saying like, hey, They're in a zone. Now they can do they can do whatever. Like, hey, North Star is Dynamite. Let's build to that. Let's chase Dynamite. And if you can get the Dynamite, you get whatever. It's going to take time. It's going to take investment. It's going to take, a lot of stuff. Here's the problem. Can they do it? Time will tell.
Okay, now what did Conrad? Let's bring up that Conrad conversation. He had a very important post this week. Conrad said, here's the quiet part out loud. TNA is a developmental league for the WWE. Ask Henry, Grace, etc. TNA allowed Slater to go because they're modeled out. Did you see AJ on TNA last night? They're not adversarial. TNA is the new OVW, but on AMC. What do you think?
I mean, okay. I mean, to me, yeah. I mean, WWE has said they're going to focus more this year on the indies than they did last year. So TNA is a great place. By the way, here's why I question that thing. I don't say they're OVW in the sense of like, because they've got NXT for a reason. WWE's been taking people from TNA forever.
Yeah, and Evolve.
And Evolve. Well, they own Evolve now, so they're not, so think about that. They own Evolve. They got NXT. They don't have. It's just what I think it is. It's a really good place for a lot of people that are like, we just don't have anything for you. We're going to let you go. And they jump over there and, they get some reps and stuff. They stay on TV a little bit, and maybe someday we'll bring you back.
Yeah. It's a lot better than being released to nowhere. I mean, look at, I can't ever remember what Lash Legend's tag team partner's name was. She's working prominently on TNA now. Mm-hmm. It's a good spot for a lot of people. I don't see why.
There's a AEW even can't take everybody. So now there's two solid places, two options. If you get released, that you could go, three if you want to talk about, I'm going to go out on the indies and just build my brand back up. So it's just a good thing. I don't understand, like I said, I don't understand anybody who wants TNA to fail. Like, I don't understand that logic at all. We're going to come back to TNA later in this show. There's a topic that I think, to me, is very appealing for TNA. And we'll get into the why I think that is.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's look ahead to what's coming up this weekend. The Royal Rumble. We're just going to do a little look ahead, maybe even pick who we think is going to win some matches or whatever. I'm going to go reverse, by the way, of the notes, just so you know.
Well, first off, I'm working. The Rumble comes on at 2. I get off at 6. I'm not going to be looking at my phone. And if anybody texts me spoilers,
you suck.
You suck. Okay, seriously. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, now roll your spoiler-free predictions.
Look, here's my take. Let's do the men's and women's Royal Rumble. Let's start with the men's. Look, I said it last week. I may have said it even longer than that. I don't know why. Last night on Raw, they put the entire vision into the Rumble, and I'm like, Braun Breaker's your winner.
They agreed to work together also to get Braun Breaker over. If they're able to stay together, the smart money is on Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
If they're able to work together.
I am curious to see if it comes down late to Logan Paul and Braun Breaker, if Logan Paul's ego will let him play second fiddle to Braun Breaker.
Yes. And then
I think Bronson Reed is very comfortable being second fiddle's not the right word, but the sidekick of Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, I'm curious to see if that's the case with the ego. Braun Breaker is my pick. Who do you got winning the men's Rumble?
I'm going to come up with something completely different. Austin Theory is going to steal it. Write this down. I'm saying it right now. Austin Theory will steal it and be kicked out of the vision and become a massive problem for Braun Breaker.
Okay. See that.
Women's is another place we're going to see alliances, people working together, friends and enemies. This is a tough one. This is the tougher of the two picks. I can't see a definite, because all the people I would like to win. I mean, Roxanne Perez, one of the smallest wrestlers they got, was in there over an hour last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you figure it? Where are you seeing it?
Liv Morgan.
Liv Morgan.
I'm not even sure why. For some reason, I just feel like Liv Morgan.
I can't argue with you. I mean, I don't have a pick really. I would go with Nia Jax just simply because I love Nia Jax, but Liv Morgan's probably your best bet. And there's so many people we haven't seen in a while. Think about it. The amount of people that are going to be coming back. We haven't seen Tiffany Stratton. We haven't seen Bianca Belair. How many people are going to come back for their re-debuts or whatever you want to call it? That should be very interesting to see who comes back to women. There's some people we might talk about later on that would make it into the men's. But I think it's, once again, my favorite pay-per-view. The singles matches, Sami versus Drew. Okay? Sami versus Drew is going to be the hard one for me. What do you got, Nick? What do you think?
So here's the thing. I think Drew's your winner because I do go back to what we talked about earlier. I do believe we're heading to this triple threat thing with Cody and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania. Just my take. Hey, you know what? Let's backpedal up. It's something we didn't talk about. I still believe this is the case. Let's backpedal up. So Roman declares he's in the Rumble. Is it odd that neither one of us think he's going to win?
There's a giant hand being built in Saudi Arabia. You know, the one and the acknowledge me. That is a good sign for him. The giant hand.
Let me ask you this question. Roman doesn't win. Whoever eliminates him, that is who he will face at WrestleMania.
Okay. But nobody else is getting a giant hand, though.
There's a big yeah banner. I mean,
okay.
What if it's LA Knight?
I'd love to see that.
Eliminates him, and that's his match.
I'd love to see that.
I know that everything everybody's talking about on the internet is, Roman and Cody were supposed to happen at Mania.
I don't want to see that.
We've seen it, right? We don't need it 3 times. That's not in a row. Now let's get to, so I'm a Drew. I think Drew wins. Just me personally. I think the crowd's going to go bananas and be hot for Sami, and I think that puts more heat on Drew when he beats him.
Super heel. I mean, he killed it. He interfered in that match, Saturday night's main event. He's just evil and eviler.
Look, we worked our way backwards for a reason because I wanted to get to AJ and Gunther last. AJ's career's on the line. Look, we've thought, Saturday night main event, Nakamura, CM Punk, Raw. If you're watching this on Thursday when it releases to the public, Friday night on SmackDown, I'm going out on a limb and say he gets a match against somebody. I don't know who that is yet.
It's going to be a greatest hit match. It's going to be somebody really important.
Is it Javon Evans? They had that thing in the back, remember? They had their little run-in in the back on Raw where they kind of talked about something. By the way,
that would build Javon better than anything else.
Why not? Or Carmelo Hayes for the open challenge. That's an easy way to get an easy match. Just saying. Do you have a pick? Because I have a very strong opinionated pick.
It's going to be Gunther. AJ wants to come home. He wants to retire on top. He wants to come out when he's one of the best. You also have the opportunity to continue to build the biggest villain in professional wrestling. And you're building Gunther for his next victim. So anybody Gunther wrestles between now and the end of time will always be his next victim. There will always be that drama associated with it. It's over. It gets more over every time you see it. I'm going to pick Gunther. I hate it, but I hated picking Gunther over Cena. I didn't hate picking Gunther over Goldberg, but
I don't even think these two are close in my brain. I don't like it, and I don't like it at all. I don't like AJ retiring in Saudi. I don't like it being so quick. I don't like it being a 2-week build. Gunther, I understood because it was for a fact John Cena's last match. It was announced. It was definitive. And I think there's more to be done with AJ. Conrad brought up an excellent point. I don't know if you've actually looked. Let me do it live on the air because I don't have. I know that it's one of two dates in my head, and I just want to make sure that I give the right one. Monday, February 23rd. It's what, 3 weeks after Rumble?
Okay.
Raw's in Atlanta. I couldn't remember 23rd or 28th. I couldn't remember the exact. I just didn't have it in my brain stuck. Can somebody explain to me why his last match couldn't be at Monday Night Raw at State Farm Arena in Atlanta in his home?
That's not the way it works. It has to be at big shows for stuff like that to happen. I gotta say it's Gunther. I gotta say it's there. And the build.
Oh, it's Gunther.
I mean, it's been a short build, but it's been a phenomenal build. I am
short build. It's been fucking 2 weeks.
But I've been invested in it because they bring out Shinsuke. They bring out CM Punk.
Okay.
They make me think about AJ all the time. They've been making him that great gear. So he looks top end every time he goes out there.
2 weeks. Can I go out on the air and say something that I don't typically say?
What's that?
I think it's disgraceful.
Oh. Elaborate, sir.
No, I think it's disgraceful that 2 weeks. Listen, if I'm wrong, next week, folks, I'll be on here going, I'll eat the big shit burger. I swear I thought that AJ was going to lose, and it just because everything points. I gave one out. In my brain, I think I said this last week on the show, right? I gave one out. If AJ beats him, Gunther wins the Rumble. Nobody remembers the fact in the hindsight down the road that Gunther lost to AJ because he won the Rumble. This has happened before. We've done this before. So I think you can wash it over. So my problem is you've built Gunther to this point. You cannot have him lose based on the story you've done. He has to beat AJ. The problem is that we should not be here. The storyline makes no sense to me. AJ shouldn't be in this match at this point to make that the case. The storyline's stupid. He deserved better than 2 weeks. I don't care. You could have given me Shakespeare in 2 weeks, and he deserved better than 2 weeks.
Well, Cena took up the whole last year. Cena took all the sparkle out of last year. I mean,
who said it has to end now? I don't even think it has to end now. Because somebody asked the question, like they keep saying his contract's up in February. When in February? All the geniuses online, myself included, all the geniuses online talk about it's February. What day in February does his contract end? Is it February 1st? So it has to be this night? Hey, I don't think that's a fact because, wait a minute. What does my calendar say? They're going to beat him on his last day if that's the case? No, the odds are, because he could be an ass and just not go if it was literally the last day of his contract. And this match, by the way, AJ would never do that. Let me preface that. But my point being, I get the whole, like, it has to be on a bigger card. Why? You don't think you're the Netflix, the company that you talked about bringing in, they want Jericho. Oh, Netflix got this and they got The Rock to come on Raw because Netflix is such a big deal for them. What show's on Netflix? Monday Night Raw. So you're telling me Netflix wouldn't want AJ Styles' retirement match in Atlanta, in his hometown, in State Farm Arena on Netflix? That's who's paying you more money.
Netflix gets Saudi in the rest of the world.
But not here. Is
it that big a difference in the market? We've looked at some of these dates. No, I don't think so. I think Netflix already going to get this.
We're going to look at some numbers later, and I'm really going to push hard on this because here's my thing. Does it matter that AJ's retirement match is at the Rumble, how many people are going to watch it? None whatsoever. So it's the second biggest. By the way, we're going to get a number later. I would tell you it's the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, but globally, last year, Rumble beat Mania globally on Netflix. So people don't give a shit if AJ's retirement match is in Saudi. They would watch Netflix on Raw if they knew it was his final match, and they wouldn't care. Whether it's on the Rumble or not doesn't matter. That's why it's coming back. I don't lose my cool with the booking and creative a ton. I just think this part's disgraceful. Something doesn't sit well with me, and that's just going to be my stance. That when he loses, I'm still not going to, I'm still not going to be thrilled that we literally got. And the reason you brought up John Cena, that's part of the reason why I have such a problem with it. John Cena was worth 1 year, which he was. I'm not arguing that fact.
17 times, though. AJ has 2.
AJ's worth 2 weeks.
I don't want it to happen, Nick. I hate arguing this point. I hate trying to argue this point, but it's going to happen. It's the way it is.
I'm not arguing it's not going to happen. I'm picking Gunther, and AJ's probably going to win, and it'll be his final match in WWE. Yes, I said what I said. We'll move on to the next topic. He's leaving. Obviously, he's on his way out. Other comings and goings of the week, folks. I got some bad news. Chris Jericho is still on the AEW roster page, and we are recording on Tuesday, the week of the Rumble, and everybody's just convinced he's going to be at the Rumble. By the way, for some reason, so am I. That's the messed up part. I'm telling you, everything absolutely points from the other company saying he ain't going to be there. There's no way Tony Khan and AEW are cooperating to throw us off.
He's not going to be there. It's better to have it like, is he going to be there, and then complain that he's not there. I really think Chris enjoys the amount of time he's got to do his other stuff, like playing his band and do his cruises. I don't think he'd get that flexibility with the WWE. I think he's happy where he's at. He might come back later, but he's not coming back for the Rumble. I really would like him to come back for the Rumble. I'm not going to lie. I'd love to see Chris Jericho and hear that the Y2J thing happens. Remember how cool that was? Remember when it happened originally?
Look, when he comes back, you're going to get to break the walls down. Everything's going to go nuts and all that. That's awesome. By the way, how about this? You want to pop us all? Play Fozzy.
Have Rich play him down to the ring?
Play Judas. Yeah, boom, have him come out or whatever. Just saying. As of the day, look, by the way, we're recording on Tuesday. I'll need for the rest of the week to play out. This episode is, by the way, patreon.com/tappedOutPod. Airs on Wednesday at 12 if you're above $5 or higher member. And then it publicly comes out on Thursday. Things change. If he disappears off of the roster page between now and the Rumble, maybe I would agree with you. But until he's off of that page, I just don't. They're not working together, in my opinion. I could be humbly wrong. I tell you who I realistically 100% believe will be there. The artist formerly known as Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yes.
Rumors are his name will be Royce Keys in the WWE.
Nice name. Nice. Better than Ricky Saints.
It'd probably be an NXT guy if I had to guess, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, because Obafemi's going up, you need a strong, big guy to take his Powerhouse Obafemi's spot. Obafemi's definitely going to be there. God, that's going to be a massive, massive thing for him to see him there. Interesting to see how Hobbs does. It's a different world.
So he'll be there in NXT. Ciampa's on his way out. Apparently, that he has moved to the alumni page.
I miss
Speaking
him
of NXT
already. I liked him a lot, but it just wasn't. He was an NXT guy. Him and Gargano were NXT guys. They were the Motor City Machine Guns of our TNA side guys. They were of WWE. That's just
the irony is Motor City Machine Guns are now in WWE and they're Ciampa.
Yeah.
But no, I'm saying that's the irony, right?
Yeah.
Here's look, all of the parts that we were discussing here. Jericho's kind of on his own island. Hobbs to NXT, and everybody's like, hey, he thinks he's did you hear the rumor is he took less money to go to WWE than what AEW had to offer him? So it clearly sees like, hey, what he sees. And it's funny. I want to ask you this specifically. I wanted to say this because this happened. Conrad brought up a great point on 83 Weeks this week when he said, we are not at a point yet where any of these wrestlers grew up wanting to be AEW wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
They all grew up wanting to wrestle for WWE, WrestleMania, et cetera, regardless. Now, we're probably
10 years.
10, 15 years away. Then there's going to be a wave of guys that were like, I grew up on AEW, or that's a style I like, or so eventually. So maybe that's the case. But the warning sign, and I think, dare I say, Ciampa was the one I wanted to ask about, because when we were talking about this, Ciampa felt like he was a black and gold NXT, superstar. Yeah. The second he moved on, I did not feel like he was big enough, and I don't mean physically, just star power for the main roster. I felt like
you had to have him with Gargano. He was a title tag team, not a single.
But even then, I still didn't like. Hobbs has it, by the way, and I'll explain why. I think now TKO's vision clearly says it's not a wrestling company. We're a star power company. You've got to have star power, have the charisma, have something that people look at you larger than life, bigger, da-da-da. I think Ciampa's a great wrestler, but I didn't see him in that way either.
Is he not a good entertainer?
No, I didn't say that.
It's World Wrestling Entertainment.
I think he's an entertainer. I just don't think he's a superstar. You can be a star. There's a difference between. There's a difference between a star and a superstar. And by the way, there's differences between superstars and megastars.
Yeah.
There's a difference, and I think that's kind of the difference between those three. So, Ciampa, does he go to AEW and blend in with the other great wrestlers, or does he go to TNA, become a big fish in a small pond, and try to work his way back or whatever? Or hell, I know he's put out on his social media, put his email out there booking for indie dates. Go out and earn that paycheck.
I'd like to see him in Ring of Honor. I'll just be honest with you. That's my take on it. I think he would be larger than life in Ring of Honor.
Could be. I mean, AEW's an option, but hey, the running joke around, we don't even know where AEW is going to be in a few years because of this whole Netflix purchase and all that kind of stuff. But it's come along, and I think, over the last few weeks, I think it's abundantly clear. Netflix, by the way, I know that it had to be put out there. I saw the headlines. Netflix isn't bringing AEW on board, and whatever. And I'm like, whoever thought this was going to happen? I didn't understand that part. Sometimes wrestling news sites state the obvious. And it's like, no shit.
Click, bait.
Yeah. They have an HBO Max deal. They have Turner Network TV network deals. Because by the way, remember we've talked about this could be years in the making. All these, when things start permanently moving and sliding around. If their deal's running, it's going to run through HBO Max until the existing deal's over. After that, probably won't renew it. Oh, God, then what are they going to do with their streaming? I don't know. Did you know Turner Networks have apps? There's a TNT app. There's talks of a Turner Sports app. There's all this stuff that they can, if they're still on the TV networks, they'll have a home on their streaming app. It'll be a different app.
Yeah, and if nothing else, we've looked at all these other apps, the streaming services that are getting wrestling and combat sports. It's done well for them. Well, who's to say it won't go somewhere else? I don't think they're in any danger at all. That's
no. I think they're fine. Let's stop stating the obvious or whatever. I told you we were going to come back to TNA, and before we get out of here, there's two things I want to talk about real fast. Westside Gunn comes out and says he's interested in buying TNA. We discussed about TNA growth and how they can, how can they grow and how can they, just keep going past where they're at now. This is an option.
No, it's not.
Westside Gunn, there's been Myron, we live in a hotbed where we hear constantly, it's for the culture environment, like the diversity in it, in wrestling or whatever. Westside Gunn, because he's just The only thing stopping him is he's going to have to bid an amount that WWE's not going to think the company's worth. Here, I know they have that right of first refusal, but I honestly, deep down, don't think they want TNA.
They don't want TNA, or they don't want to prop up TNA? Because I think TNA is like a stepchild that they have a good relationship with.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not going to pay their way through college, but they might help them get an old car. West Side Gun apparently has a wrestling collection larger than Sal Renaro. West Side Gun is a huge wrestling fan. He also has angered the WWE at times. He was thrown out of one of their shows. Speaking of someone who loves going to pay-per-views, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, went every year till WWE filed a cease and desist and made him leave one of their shows. He apparently was using some of their images and stuff in his art. So I don't think it's going to be easy for him to get involved. I would think that TNA would set a price way too high out of his price range, but the guy's really rich. Mm-hmm. Fashion designer, musician. I did a lot of research on him because, I know nothing about popular culture. And he's also a wrestling promoter.
Fourth Rope Promotions. He's run multiple shows here in Atlanta. The Heels Have Eyes. They've run Center Stage. Lots of people we know wrestle on those shows. The Hardys have been on those shows. The Infantry, friends of the show have been on that. They've been on there as well. So he's been around. Here's why I think it is an option. I get the money aspect. He just has to bid enough, like I said, to where the WWE doesn't think it's worth, like, hey, we're just not getting into a bidding war. We're not going to do, that's not our business. They're doing what they're doing, in my opinion, to avoid the antitrust stuff.
Yes.
If they buy it, you've opened that door back up.
Yes.
So that's why I say I don't think they want it. They want to assist it to make it look like, because they're not going to help AEW, but they can help TNA and they can play nice.
They need
you want the hot take? If West Side Gun buys it, I still think they kiss and make up and they work out something. Because you know what he can do? He can do something that we talk about all the time on this show, because we've adopted a phrase somebody famous has said. He could do something with TNA that I think no one else involved in wrestling can do.
What is that?
Different than.
Yep.
He can make it culturally modern, make it and embrace the hip-hop environment, embrace a lot of the wrestlers. It would be a true alternative over, because right now AEW's not an alternative. They're a little bit different because they embrace a different style of wrestling. But that's about it that separates the two.
Do for wrestling what Wu-Tang did with karate. Okay. I'm seeing some stuff here.
So my point is, let him have it. If he wants it, let him buy it. Then I think we have a true third brand, because it can grow in an environment and it can get a niche of the population that feels underserved. That's the only way you're going to grow. You got to get somebody who's not watching the other two and find them and bring them in. And along the way, cipher a little bit of portion of each audience. I'm not saying you're going to get them all, but if you get a little bit of this base and a little bit of this ace, but you get a base that neither one of them have on the regular, now you've got a player, and that's why I like him as a potential buyer for TNA.
Okay, you've convinced me. You've talked me into it. I didn't think it would work. If he can and WWE can make up, I don't know what they're going to do. Apparently, it was something about putting Virgil on one of his album covers or something.
Listen, by the way, I get what they did. They were protecting their IP, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. I understand. We've all been down that road lately. Literally, I've been down that road this past week. So when we talk about that kind of stuff. So I understand. But, hey, you know what? I'm in. West Side Gun, I'm in.
I'd watch. Hey, West Side Gun, you're here in Atlanta too?
Yeah.
You need consultants?
Speaking of watching, Myron, last topic we want to hit is, and we're going out the door. We're not going to go down this a lot very deep. I promise you it all. UFC Paramount Plus. UFC jumping to Paramount Plus was the official, in my opinion. It was I know AEW does pay-per-views, but they do them in a different model. They essentially, I think, UFC moving to a non-pay-per-view model and just being included on a streaming service, it's the death of the pay-per-view model officially, in my opinion. And the AEW needs to figure out what's the next model. Like, how do we get to that?
This was the last great pay-per-view. This was the most expensive and probably the most successful pay-per-view model ever, wouldn't you say? Bigger than wrestling. You know, this is
by far and away.
Yeah, you'd go and see it at bars and stuff. Bars, this would be a huge attraction.
Look, it was their first numbered pay-per-view on Paramount. They averaged 4.96 million. I believe that was US. They peaked out globally at 7, peaked out at 5.93. And here's the thing. Why are we talking about this? Because they're one of the other primary giant conglomerate company in TKO with WWE, right? This is their partner, if you want, their real partner, if you want to talk about it. They paid $7.7 billion for 7 years, did Paramount Plus. By the way, if you were smart, you can shop around. I bought my annual subscription for $29.99. Even at $8.99 a month, it's $108 a year. But 99 bottles of beer, whatever. No, it's more than that. 108. Anyway.
See, I got my Peacock for free with commercials because of my Walmart Plus membership.
Correct.
But I can also change it to Paramount Plus, which when Peacock runs out, which I'm not going to be upset when Peacock runs out of WWE content. I might change it to this now.
Yeah. I checked it out, just curiosity, because I said, hey, I never was a guy that was going to pay $60, $70, $80, $90, $100 for pay-per-views for UFC, but part of my $30 Peacock or my Paramount deal, sure, I'll give it a whirl. I watched a couple of the fights. They were good. I like MMA. I just not been a regular. By the way, the problem was it was
expensive.
Saturday Night Main Event was on right there, kind of in a very similar window. So we crossed over. When one ended, I jumped over to the other one just to check it out, as a lot of other people did. You know, when we talk about those kind of numbers, a couple, and we're not going to go through every one of these, Myron, but like Rumble last year on Netflix internationally, because Peacock had the U.S. base, blah, 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 blah. Internationally, Rumble did 3.2.
That's overseas. That's not here in America. Yeah. So no telling.
We looked it up because we were curious. Peacock was at 1.8 or something like that. So you're around 5 million people. Think about this: 7 million people peaked globally, 5 million with wrestling. When you add those two numbers together for Rumble versus just a numbered pay-per-view, dude, business is good. I think streaming obviously has proven it's the way to go. The reason I brought this up is I feel like this was the official end of the end of the pay-per-view model, and I do believe at some point, hopefully soon, the AEW kind of right there in the lane, and they get somebody to do the same.
I think they're going to have to get off the HBO Max, which is going to disappear, and move to a streaming service of their own, or a streaming service get signed by whoever's left. Maybe Peacock needs to pick somebody back up again. I would be a lot more tempted to watch. Hey, will the AEW pay-per-view still be 5 hours if you don't have to pay for them?
I don't think they would. You know what? That might be. Hey, put that in the show notes for next week. That's a great topic for AEW. AEW content. Check us out, and maybe we'll discuss that one for you next week.
Yes.
So legit, put that in the notes because I'll forget because I'm old. And look, by the way, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send your thoughts, topics you want to discuss, questions you want to ask, all the above. But, of course, we always tell you, if you're a Patreon member, patreon.com/tappedoutpod, just literally message us on there. We'll make sure we get you covered or whatever, as well on there. We already talked about all the goodies that you get, so we're not going to run that back again. We're going to get out of here pretty quick here.
No spoilers.
Yeah, nobody send Myron messages telling him who's winning and losing at the Rumble. That's my job.
The Rumble. Don't. I have so little pleasure in life, people. Don't ruin the one thing I love more than. Okay, I'm not going to list off the things I love more than. Yeah. The Rumble more than.
Because you're going to forget something, and then you'll have to live with that. So yeah, there is that.
Okay.
Anything else before we get out of here, man?
Nope. I'm good to go.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.